Don't mess up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the AAA podcast. Today is a really exciting episode as Anthony and I are joined by a very special guest. She is an NSCA certified strength and conditioning specialist alongside an Exos performance, fitness, and health specialist and the host of her own podcast, The Morning Cup. Please welcome to the show, Coach Emma Schmid.
Hi. I'm really honored to be here, y'all. Anytime I get the honor to be on someone's platform, I don't take that lightly. So I'm really excited to be here, chat with y'all, and yeah, ready to get this going.
Well, we're really excited to have you on, and I think we have a lot of fun discussion topics coming up. But the first thing we have to know about you is what's your relationship with caffeine? How much are you drinking a day? What's your go-to drink? Fill us in on how Emma Schmid gets through a day.
This is so funny because I think today's the first day I haven't had caffeine in my life. So I drink coffee every day, and I think I've drank coffee since I was 10 years old. But back then we called it coffee milk. So my dad, I wanted to be like my dad because he drinks like a pot a day. So he would give me like a glass of milk with a little bit of coffee. So I felt like I was doing that with him. But yeah, literally I can't exceed more than a cup a day now, the older I get. So I don't do energy drinks. I don't do pre-workout because I'll get anxiety. My anxiety fuels me enough, so I don't need more of it. But I definitely need coffee as just like a daily routine, just like one cup in the morning, just regular Nespresso with a little honey and oat milk, and I'm just ready to go.
That sounds
So
great.
it's a very, very codependent on it, yes.
I feel you on the anxiety part. I'm not a big caffeine drinker myself because I wake up and I think about all the things I have that day and then I'm just ready to go.
Yep, yeah, same.
So I know
Yeah.
Rowan gave a brief introduction about you. We were wondering if you wanted to introduce yourself, talk about, your path as a strength and conditioning coach and how that brought you to where you are now.
Yeah. So I went to UNC Wilmington. Um, that was actually my first pick and like the second school I applied to. So I was really grateful that I was able to get in there. Historically, I wasn't a great student. I'm not gonna lie. So through like elementary school and high school, I just wasn't interested in the topics I was learning about. And come to find out, I just didn't focus because I didn't care about the topic. So I got to college and I actually really cared. I tried really hard and I thought I was going to go the PT route. So like anatomy and biomechanics were like what I was really into. And then my capstone course was strength and conditioning. And I really liked how we had this project where you picked an athlete, like a sport. You chose what part of the cycle that like like you created a whole macro cycle annual training program for them, and then like kind of dissect it from there. And I really liked that. And then after I graduated, again, I was like, I want to go into physical therapy because that's what every exercise science person kind of, not every, but like most of them set out to do. So I worked in the clinic for 2 years as a tech. I was kind of stupid and didn't take physics and Chem 2 in college because I was like, I'll do that when I graduate and work a full-time job. So I took night classes after I worked all day. I took Chem 2 like 4 years after I took Chem 1, which is really a bad idea. Don't recommend doing that. Um, I definitely like cried a bunch of times in there and somehow passed. And my lab partner was not great. So I was like, I actually have to know this stuff. Um, and then the pandemic hit, so I got furloughed. So I wasn't at the clinic anymore. I'm not gonna lie, I was very burnt out there. It was one of those clinics that's just very fast paced, like you're double, triple booking your PT. So I wasn't really a fan of that model. And so I was unemployed for a month, made more off unemployment. Was like, what is this? I was making 11.50 an hour post graduation, full time, like first big girl job. Then went to unemployment for a month. And then that's when the Exos job came available so I worked at Lenovo initially. So it was a health fitness specialist role at Lenovo. And it was like an Exos job. So I applied, I got it. And that's really where my strength and conditioning career took off. Um, just there's so many opportunities with the company, and they have lots of free education and the mentorships. I think the in-person mentorships were invaluable. That really helped me grow as a coach and just get real-time feedback on like my coaching abilities. And so I stayed with the company for about 4 years. Um, I was there for two, moved out here to Seattle, um, got in with Google, which was great. So still an Exos job. And then previously, I'd also started my own business, was working with youth athletes, very part-time. So I had a bunch of odd jobs in the mix while I was working my full-time job. And then coming out here, I was like, okay, I'm full-time Exos. Went to the Exos Performance Mentorship phase two, and that's where I got a lot of like I had always struggled with confidence with myself. So like we would actually coach our peers, and I thought it was really cool how we got real-time feedback on us coaching our peers from people that were supervising our sessions, and like that really helped solidify my confidence in myself and find my coaching voice. So all this to say, I think having that found confidence later on in my coaching career, like that was like 7 years into being a coach, really helped me get more opportunities, like be prepared for the Kraken internship that I had, and stuff like that. So now I'm running my own business, and it's been a journey, and I'm still learning every day. So yeah, it's a kind of a long-winded answer. There's more in there, but high level overview, that's how I got here.
That's sweet. And I'm sure we'll unpack a lot of that later. Going back to like initially being on the PT route, was there like a moment that you felt that you realized that that wasn't necessarily what you wanted to do, or was it more of just like a over time you found yourself going more the strength and conditioning route?
Yeah, I knew I was pretty burnt out. I would cry like 3 times a week. Like, it was just a lot. And I was also going through like a back issue at the time, surprise. Like that's just been my whole entire 20s, just on and off dealing with stuff. So I was pretty burnt out, and I was like, okay, no, this isn't for me. But I'm really grateful I had this opportunity because I learned so much from the PT that I worked with. She's still like one of the smartest people. She's very old school, but she just did this crazy shit, and it like worked. And it was kind of like PRI-esque, but it wasn't PRI. I had never heard of PRI at the time. She never labeled it that, but it was just some weird stuff that worked. So yeah, I just somehow found my way into the strength and conditioning piece, and we'll probably get into this later about like being a woman in this field. Um, but like I definitely my confidence started from like I think it's self-projection of like I don't think I look the part. So I want people to take me seriously. So I really doubled down on my education because I'm not like this big buff person. Like I just like that's just my biology is just does not, it's hard for me to do that. So there was definitely a time where like a guy got picked over me for an internship that I was more qualified for. And that is like kind of where my confidence issues started. Um, but yeah, all that to say, that didn't stop me because I kept going. I doubled down on my education, and like I am here. I am where I am now. But yeah, I think it was the burnt outness that made me realize I don't want to do that, but I do love helping people. And it was just very monotonous too. Like I don't want to do TKE step downs 20 times a day. Like I want to do stuff. I want to help people move and like perform and like do a lot more than just, mini band walks. And that's not what just PT is. There's a lot of great PTs that don't just do that, but that's where I was. So yeah, it was a great learning experience regardless.
I relate to that a lot. I also started on the PT path and through a bunch of internships that I did really enjoy. I just kind of realized that the settings that I wanted to be in were very far and in between. And for the most part, I would have much more luck finding those settings in the strength and conditioning field. So
Yeah. You don't know till you try.
for sure.
I kind of already mentioned it, and we can go ahead and get into it. But being a female in a predominantly male-dominated field, what are some of the experiences you've had? One of them you mentioned, and like, how do you think that's impacted you and made you who you are today and growing as a coach?
That was a lovely question. I like I kind of referred to earlier that initial instance of like I was volunteering for free at this strength and conditioning gym, very part-time, just in the mornings, just to kind of be there. And there was a guy that worked at Best Buy, but was also doing that, like didn't have his CSCS yet. Meanwhile, I had mine. And I mean, it doesn't really mean that you're a good coach, but it means that you check that box, like that's kind of how you get into places. It can help. Um, so this guy got picked over me, and I didn't even I had been there longer than him, and maybe it was just I look back and I'm not mad about it anymore, but I think it helped me like kind of feel that fire of like I really need to know my shit, and like I need to be able to advocate for myself. I need to stand out in other ways because I don't look like this buff dude that got the job. And so I think I carried that with me for a while. And it wasn't until recently where I was like, no, like I'm self-projecting this on myself, I think. And there's been a lot of instances where I have been the only female in the places that I worked, and I didn't really feel less than, luckily, because like they're all like really great dudes. But there are those instances of self-projection where like that little self-doubt creeps in of like, I don't look the part. I feel like I don't look the part, so therefore I don't think people like want me to help them type of thing. But um, so it's really been a lot of like doubling down on self-confidence, education, being myself, and like attracting the right people that want to work with someone like me. And not taking it personally when someone doesn't want to, or if I don't click with someone, because that's the beauty of what we do. Is just we're all different, and you know, unfortunately, sometimes like your body is your business card, or it can be like people want to look like you and stuff like that, move like you. But that's why we're all different, and that's what's really great about it, is that through our personal experiences, we can help other people that way. So it's an ongoing journey for sure. But I think like I just feel like I'm kind of one of the guys when I hang out with them now, which is fun. Like I went to a phase 2 mentorship, and there's like 9 dudes and then me. And it was really fun. Like by the end of it, we called it I was one of the lads. So yeah, I think it's great. Yeah. But it can be intimidating for some women for sure. And like there's so many women that I respect in this field that have paved the way for people like me to come up, to come through. So I hope I can like help continue to inspire maybe one other woman to like step into the field and like be confident in their self and their abilities, and like know that they are going to help someone, and it doesn't matter what you look like.
Were there
So
times where you felt like it might not be possible or you wanted to quit? And like if that did happen, what helped you get out of it?
oh yeah. Um, I think what helped me get out of that of like I'm not capable of doing this is every time I felt that way and I showed up the next day and I got through that day. Like sometimes it came to like making it through another day. Other times it came to let me focus on the things I can do and that I am good at. So like I'm really good at building relationships with people. So there have been times where, at the internship, for example, I was there to learn and, help where I could. So a lot of the stuff that I focused on doing was because of course I felt like who am I to be here right now? Like I haven't played hockey, like I haven't done XYZ, but I want to be here and I want to be better and I want to show that I want to learn. And so I just got really good at asking questions, questions outside the gym, just like getting to know people for who they are, what are their interests, what are their dislikes, just anything, getting to know people for who they really are, because it's really key to build that trust to get your way in with people and athletes that you work with. So when I felt like I wasn't qualified for something, I would show up, I would ask questions, I would learn from it. And there's definitely times where I'd have a little pity party because I was just like, what am I doing? But I think that's normal for anyone. And I think the sign of like growth is that you feel that way. Like you feel like you're not good enough for something, but you try to do it anyways, because the worst thing that can happen is that you don't get there. or you try to get there you try another route. So I think it's a pretty basic answer, but it's all about focusing on the things that you can do, the value that you can provide at the time with the best of your knowledge and your capabilities. Um, and then yeah, you learn a lot that way.
It's interesting because it seems like, and Roy and I are very young, like we've been in the field maybe a couple of years, but like the more and more I'm in this field, I hear a lot about like this imposter syndrome of like I'm not good enough. And I've talked to like coaches who have been coaching for like 15, 20 years, and they have the same exact thing. And it's interesting because like it seems like it's only not only, but it seems like it's pretty apparent in this field that like a lot of people feel that way of like I'm not good
Yeah,
enough. And I wonder like where it comes from.
I know. Like the people I look up to, they feel that way too. And I'm like, what? But you're so smart. And
Right.
the thing is, we're never gonna know everything. And that's the most overwhelming part. And I talk to so many coaches about this because I have felt this way recently again, where it's like I'm overwhelmed because I feel like there's so much I don't know yet. And and the people that we all look up to have been in this field for a very long time. And the fact that they can still feel that way. So I think it's helpful to know that we all are human. And again, like going back to the part of like we're all different and we all know different things and we all have like we like are all interested in different things is really great because we go like what is it, an inch wide, a mile deep on certain topics. So that's good because now like someone else, like I'll go to another friend who knows way more than I do about a topic so that they can help me with a client who's struggling with something. But yeah, man, it's like I wish, Alona Mar, that rugby player who got really famous from the Olympics.
Yeah.
She said she doesn't have imposter syndrome, like, and I wish that was me. Like, I think about her whenever I feel that way. I'm like, man, I want to just channel that. So we should just we strive to just fucking, sorry, can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
That's
Freaking.
fine.
Every time I feel like an imposter, I think about her. I'm like, what would she do? And then I just do the thing.
Kind of continuing off that like imposter syndrome, you're pretty active on social media. How did you like initially get into that? And then also how do you kind of fight off those ideas that like what I'm posting isn't right or nobody really cares about what I'm posting? How do you kind of fight through that and then still put out consistent content?
That's also a really great question. I've been in the game since 2018 on my fitness page. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I started. I truly didn't. Like, reels weren't a thing. It was just like, I was just posting like, it's all there. Like, if you really scrolled, I'm going to expose myself. You can scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see some shit. I didn't know what I was doing. Um, and then over time like it evolves. It's kind of been a catalog of my learnings and like my musings of like I used to kind of journal more on there. But then I hit a point where I was stagnant at about like 6,000 followers and I truly didn't care for the longest time about followers. I was like, whatever, I'm sharing what I want to put out into the world. And then I got, to that point and I was like more into my career and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm sharing all this information and no one cares. Like I feel like I'm like dropping some really great knowledge and I just feel like I'm talking to a brick wall. And so for a long time I was frustrated. I I quit for a little. I took a month off. Um I felt like I feel like when you start to throw darts at the wall and just try to see what works, like you don't really know who you're talking to, stuff like that. And that's where I was. It can feel really frustrating because you're just like, what am I doing here? I'm not even doing this for myself. And I think it's easy to lose that. Like you lose yourself if you don't know what you're doing it for. So I had to come to Jesus moment. Like I took a month off, read a lot, focused on lifting, just lived my life, journaled a ton. I think journaling is so underrated. And I came back and I just, someone asked me to post a beer league warm up and then that for hockey. And I was like, that's all I need. As you can see now. And that's all the confirmation I needed because I always wanted to work in hockey, but I was like, who am I? Again, to the imposter syndrome, who am I to talk about this? Like, I had worked with a few hockey players back in the day, but like, who am I to talk about this? I didn't even play the sport. So that's all I needed. And then and there's so many times where I'm like reading things over. I'm like, am I stupid? Like, is this right? And I'm double checking myself all the time. Like that part hasn't stopped. But I think just doing it and like obviously there's the inherent like you're vulnerable. Like people are gonna say whatever they want. I've had some keyboard trolls and it's just kind of funny. So um, my biggest advice is like anyone who's doing worse than you or better than you is never gonna say anything bad about you type of thing. So it's always people who are like kind of down and out that are gonna come on your page and say something. And I always say you get trolls on your page, then your reach is getting out there. So any engagement is good engagement. But I think the biggest piece of advice well, for to myself that I've learned is like, make sure you know what you're doing it for, who you're doing it for, know who you're talking to, make sure it's not subtracting from your life. That's the biggest part for sure.
I think my favorite thing is like when you post the trolls on your story. And then but like it also like makes me upset because it's not like anything is controversial in the post. It's just like people being mean for like no reason. Like literally like
It's
no reason.
so comic. It's so funny. And they can't spell. So the best part is like when I correct their spelling.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That
Um
is like weirdly a big thing is that like when people get troll on the internet, they always misspell stuff. Like, why are they so typo heavy?
Like obviously you were so just gung ho and
we're
getting
just
that out there. Like, I can't stop. Yeah. There's just some of those folks, and it used to get me angry. Like I would just get hot, and now I'm like, oh, this is funny.
Have you
Yeah,
I don't know all the platforms that you post on. Have you found a platform more heavy on the negative comments than another?
I'm only on Instagram because that's all I can handle. I give so many props to everyone else who does YouTube, whatever else there really is. I don't know, but I'll get some feet comments, but not as much recently.
I find
Yeah,
YouTube to be just like because the videos get out there and like you'll randomly I post like demos for my athletes on there and sometimes
yeah.
the videos will get like thousands of views and you will just get flooded with comments of people just
yes.
roasting you. It's so crazy.
Maybe I should
I
try
posted like
that.
It's kind of fun
I
though.
posted like a sprint and someone commented and they were like, wow, you're slow. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
Dude, I
Or
think you're
like I
so
did, yeah,
fast.
I'm not. Everyone knows I'm not fast. I think I make myself look fast. I've gotten faster, but
It's about the camera
that's the
Yeah,
angles.
goal. My goal is
it
now
can
just to not look slow.
hell yeah,
It's not
dude.
even to be fast.
Well, I appreciated your post when you opened up about like not being good at certain things, like working on those things. I'm like, well, I think you look like you're a great sprinter. So there's always worse, like, you know, but it's good to like be aware of like what things that you can work on. So yeah. Being vulnerable on the internet is great because there's a lot of people that will empathize with you whether they say it or not. So just know that for sure.
But I think that's stuff that I want to start posting more is just like my personal experience with training because I think that a lot of people kind of like, especially athletes, hide their own experiences and things that they've had to go through. And again, it's
Hmm.
because like I feel like you always want to look good. Like you always want to look like you're doing the right thing. And so that's where that post came from. It was like I always get scared to do the things I'm not good at in front of people, especially as an athlete, where it's like, oh, this person's good at their sport. And so the second you get exposed to something that like is uncomfortable, it's almost like you shy away from it a little bit because it's like I've I'm not good at this. I don't want to look
Yeah.
like I'm not good.
But like imagine how many other people feel that way or are too afraid to say anything. Like you opening up, and that's another thing about social media is like creating the platform to like give other people a safe place or like feel like their voice is being heard type of thing. Like I feel that way too, man. Like I don't feel comfortable sprinting in front of people at all. I was not a college athlete. I swam in high school. I was a washed up swimmer now, but like, and like that's kind of where when I talk about like the back thing I've been going through, I was like really ashamed and scared to share that. I was like, I can't believe I've been going through this for so long. I'm a coach. I should know how to fix myself. And I've been just having this issue for a very long time. So I was like, I might as well share because I can't I can't lift. I don't want to like be a fraud and like post stuff that's not really true to what I'm going through right now too. So I think that's great. I think you should keep doing that.
Yeah, I think something that just made me think about that was there's a physical therapist that Ronan and I know, and he recently posted that like he's been using another physical therapist for his own physical therapy, which I think is really cool because it shows that I'm willing to go out and ask other people, even though I'm a physical therapist myself, that there's like more to learn
Mm-hmm.
from other people. And I think that's really cool. And then another thing is that like as coaches, I think if you can express like those things that you've gone through, you start to understand people you work with are athletes and that they have those fears with things that you might have not experienced, but just in a different way. So it's like if I was ashamed of like my sprinting and jumping, but I liked lifting, like another athlete can think of that in the opposite way of like, I hate using anything with a barbell or dumbbell, but I'm really good at sprinting and jumping. But we
Mm-hmm.
might not see that if we never like expose it or talk about it, if that makes sense.
Dude, yes. That was so well said. I think the best learning comes from experiences, like real life experiences, like good or bad. So it's like an injury or like exposing a weakness and sharing it, or like and seeking help from other coaches and PTs. Like the first guy I had help me, Delta 5 Performance on Instagram, Cooper Napoli. If you don't, he's so smart and he changed my life. So I worked with him for 2 years, got the strongest I'd ever been. And I learned so much from him. Like he's West Side Barbell, big conjugate guy. And so and like he used like triphasic and blended it with conjugate. So it was really cool. So I want to get into conjugate stuff now and like see how I can use that with hockey players. But it's just invaluable to work with other coaches and PTs because there's just so much. And like I see myself picking stuff from what I've learned from people throughout the years of like other PTs I've had and using that for people I work with now. So I think that's one of the best ways to learn for sure.
Talking about like sharing your experiences and stuff, um, you've talked about like openly on social media or on Instagram about like that you've had a previous like eating disorder or have talked about your experiences with that.
Hmm.
Was that something that was easy to share or was it hard or how did that come about?
Yeah. So it's kind of going back to the social media thing. Like that's kind of how I healed. I didn't go to therapy or rehab. Um, I I really did do it by myself, and I'm very proud. That's like one of the proudest things I am of my like. I'm like the proudest. One of the things I'm most proud of myself for is getting through that time. So I started to share about it on Instagram. I don't know, back in the day. Like I was actually going through it when I started my page, and then like slowly you kind of can see this transition of me like recovering. Um, And I think what initiate no, I the moment I knew I needed to make a change in my life was like I could just see way too many bones. And I was like, okay, like this is not good. I was having a lot of like nerve issues, brain fog. I thought I needed glasses, but it was just like, oh, I wasn't eating any carbs. And I was eating 1,200 calories a day and exercising for 2 hours a day. Um, and so I don't really remember what the question was, but I'll just kind of talk about this.
Go for it.
Um, I just kind of started, yeah, I started to open up a little bit on Instagram about it, and that's kind of how it started. Like, people were initially making comments about my body to me behind my back about, um, I'm just, first it was praise of like, oh, you look so good, like you were like shredded, and so that fuels your fire, like. 1000% you want to keep that going. And then you kind of just go down this rabbit hole and it's a trap. And you just kind of have this body dysmorphia image of yourself of like, it's just insane what your brain tells you when you're so far into this. And so, then it was positive comments and it started to shift to negative comments of like, you're too skinny, you need to eat a hamburger. Oh, you'd look better if you put weight on. And it's like, okay, so and there's this dopamine response that you get to like withholding, like restricting calories and over exercising. And there's a whole spectrum to this, right? But yeah, when I started to open up about it, it was difficult at first, but I had such a small following back then that I was like mostly friends, I think, and acquaintances. And I'm sure glad I did because I had a bunch of people reach out, slowly over time, people started to reach out and like open up about their experiences, kind of similar to your sprinting thing of like people opening up to you about what they are kind of afraid to do. And so it's truly, I had like the most life-changing event. And I can't go into specific details, but I did have um, someone in my life who opened up to me about their experience. And that just like was like it just changed my life because I was like, wow, I went through this and it was really bad and it was hard. And I was alone. And this person doesn't have to be alone. And I know exactly how they feel. So it was just really cool. And I couldn't have done that without opening up about it first. So yeah, it was hard, but I'm really glad I did it. And I'm glad I'm still open about it because that's the best way to kind of get through these things is to talk about it and like share your experience, like with people you trust. It doesn't have to be to everyone on your Instagram, but um, yeah, man, it is a slippery slope and more people go through it than you think. So um, it's understanding there's a fine line on how to kind of like address these things, but like being nice and like coming from a caring place and like asking good questions, kind of like we talked about earlier, is a great way to build trust and get people to open up to you for sure. So yeah.
I think a lot more people deal with it than we think do. And
Yeah.
one of the things I was gonna say was like, were you or was I was gonna ask was, were you surprised by the amount of people that like opened up or said that they were kind of going through the same thing after you posted those things? Or was it what
Yeah.
you expected?
Um, it was not really. I don't know if I was expecting anything. I feel like I was just doing it because I was like ready. I was like, I've been sitting on this for a while. Like I'm ready to talk about this now. And yeah, it's not even just like that experience, it's other experiences that people will like open up to me about. And I think it's just really powerful to be able to create a community and a space where people, haven't been able to share that before, admit it to themselves. I think that's the hardest thing is like admitting to yourself that there's something that you need to change. Um, so yeah, there's definitely have been times where it's been like overwhelming positivity. It's never been negative, which is great. Like, I think if anyone takes anything from this, like you having the confidence and like ability to be vulnerable sets the stage for it'll set the stage for at least one other person, to come forward. And if you're helping one person, that's huge. So, um, yeah, it's if I would do it again, I'd still do it the same way. And there's a lot of people. I think what helped me get through it and start was like seeing other people talk about it too. So, like other like they were influencers, but like it was just nice to see other people with a big platform like say they have issues too. I'm like, okay, so I'm not just like alone here because it feels very alone. Um, but yeah, it was a learning experience, and there's definitely times where I feel like I don't feel like I'm ever going to go back to that. But like when you have an injury and you feel out of control, like that's the easiest thing to control. And I'm sure you both have seen that with athletes. I don't know if it is sometimes it's kind of like you don't really notice it at first, but like that's definitely the first thing that people focus on when they can't exercise as much. It's like, let me control my calories, let me control how much I move my body, like let me move more to compensate. So it's a slippery slope, but it's yeah, more like you said, more people than you think um, deal with it.
How do you feel like that shaped the, I guess, how do you feel like that shaped the relationships that you encounter with what you're doing now? Do you think it helps it?
Yeah, I think like having injuries and not being able to exercise the way I want to or had wanted to, like having those instances throughout my life, and we all go through it, but it helps me have more empathy for people for sure. Like I truly know what it feels like to have debilitating back pain, for example. Like I know what it feels like to be scared to eat. Like I know what it feels like to not be able to do the things you want. And now I have the tools to help people, which is so cool. So yeah, I think 100% it lets me look at someone as a person first and see what they're truly afraid of. Because when people come to us, our athletes, our clients, like that's so vulnerable. Like they are coming from a place where they need help. And like some people going into the gym, that is terrifying, you know? So now I have a client who was like so scared, never worked out in the gym. We dance in the gym now in between our working sets. Like I just
Oh
freaking
yeah.
love that. Yeah. So yeah, I think we all have our stories and it helps us relate to our clients and our athletes a lot more because we know what it's like to go through injury and pain and and be kind of out for a while. So we get to be that leader for them or that kind of safe space to kind of guide them out, which is cool. And that's why I love what we do. It's great.
Yeah, I think you touch on like a really important aspect of like training in the gym that I think a lot of people don't really understand fully or miss. And it's just like so much more than coming in and doing sets and reps. It's like an experience, and for a lot of people, it's therapeutic. And it should be an environment where people kind of come in and feel comfortable, and there should be a relationship between coach and client that extends deeper than just exercise.
Mm-hmm. 1,000%. I mean, there's definitely people like I'm sure you too. Like we just like to like go in there, like bang some weights, and that's fun. But I definitely think it's fun to have a good time with our clients because I mean, there's some times where you don't click with some people, and it's like kind of draining. So it's nice to have those people who you have fun with, you know, and so it's kind of like a mutual benefit for sure.
I think one thing that Coach Losack kind of made me aware of when I was at PLU is that the weight room can just be a place where people are free and have fun, and it's okay, like a place where it's okay to fail, because a lot of these athletes, it's like you're either in the classroom or you're out on the sport field, and anytime there's like any sort of failure, you either get like yelled at, you get benched, or you get a bad grade or something. And the weight room can just be a place where like that doesn't happen. Like it's okay to fail. Like we can dance and
Hmm.
yell and scream and have fun, and you won't get in trouble or anything. And for some people, that's what the environment has to be. Like maybe it doesn't have to be like militaristic and uptight. It can just be free so that you give them a place to express themselves and have fun.
1,000%. I love that so much, and I love all his videos and his philosophy. Like at the end of the day, what do you have? Like at the like when you're done playing your sport, right? You don't want to you don't want to like what's the word? I don't want to say loathe, but you don't want to like not like going into the gym. Like you want to be able to have this positive relationship. So yeah, I love that so much.
Um, One of the things I believe, if you're still doing it, is interning with the Kraken. How did that come along, and how's that been?
Yeah, so that ended in April. Um, it happened really fast. So I was working full time at Google, very part time, started my business, just like three online clients. Um, and it helps. So I had been helping out with like development camps throughout like the past few summers. I'd help just do physical testing on one of the days. And I got connected with the coach out here through a mutual friend, Kevin Neild, the Bruins coach, strength coach. So he's been like kind of a mentor in my life, and he was really generous to like hook me up with the strength coach out here. And so I got to volunteer my time. Um, and then through also like it definitely helps to have connections, I won't lie. Like it helps to know people for sure, but like it also helps to like show up where you can and stuff like that. So um I got the internship on a Thursday and I started on that Monday. So I went part-time at my full-time job on a Friday. And like I was simultaneously figuring out where to put my clients while I started the internship. And it all worked out. Everything was great. Um, but what I will say about the experience was just it was incredible and it changed my life in such a positive way. I had never been exposed to that type of environment before. So obviously I was really nervous at first. Um, but I just love the culture of hockey. I think it's great. The guys were great. I learned a lot from them. And without being too specific about things, I think the biggest thing I took away is just how to be in such a high performance environment. Like, how do I interact and like, where do I fit at that time in my life? Where did I fit in that hierarchy? And what can I do? And how can I help this organization be better in the small ways that I can? But it was cool just to see how the structure of it all works and like how training is and again, I don't know how specific I can be, so I won't go into like details, but the biggest thing for me was like focusing on what I can do, and that was build relationships with people, and get to know the players and stuff like that and help out where I could. So there's definitely a lot of imposter syndrome throughout that too. But it was great and it spiked my curiosity in a lot of different directions that I didn't know I was curious in. So like I'm getting a lot better at creating systems in Excel now. I just wasn't good at that before. Um, so yeah, I'm sure you guys have both gone through it too, like being GAs. And I mean, you guys were both athletes, right? College athletes. Yeah. So like it was more, I don't know if it was like a similar transition for you. Like you already knew kind of what to expect, but I didn't. So it was a little bit of like a drinking out of a fire hose at first. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, kind of going more into that. You talked a little bit about like not really having been that exposed to hockey beforehand. Did you find that like a lot of the stuff that you had, the previous work you had done, like filtered in and applied well, or was there a big like learning curve to start off?
I think so kind of both ways. I think there's a ton of things I didn't know, but like especially when it comes to energy systems development, that's kind of where my interest peaked because I was like, oh, I really had base level knowledge where I was before, and I I think Exos does a great job of having good frameworks and like systems and methods, like very organized ways of learning. But it just for me, I didn't find a way to go very much in depth. So um, that was something that was interesting because hockey is like you have to be good at everything all the time, like truly everything. It's an aerobic sport, it's anaerobic. You need to be powerful, you need to be strong, you need to be able to like change direction on a dime. Um, it helps to be big. So there is this the simple like the stuff that works. Like basic strength and conditioning works. And so that's kind of how I've been coming back to simplicity because it can be so overwhelming to get into complexity. So I'm like out here learning all these things, but I'm like, it really comes down to keeping things simple and then making it complex when it needs to be complex type of thing, if that makes sense. So I think to answer your question, yeah, I think when it came to like the technology they had and like the different equipment, it was like, okay, I got to play around with this. Um, and then as far as like strength and conditioning techniques, it's the simple stuff that works and doing it really well and knowing when to dose it correctly, I think was another big thing because their game schedule is so crazy. So yeah, lots of learning on, I think, just like the dosing amount and what works for in season versus off season, which I'm still learning.
No, that
Never
does make
ending.
sense. That does make sense, and I love that answer.
Yeah.
That's something that me and Anthony have been discussing together a lot, is that like return back to the basics and, moving away from just like constantly having things be complex and only making it complex in areas where it needs to be. Um, obviously you probably taught the athletes a lot of stuff there, and they probably came away with a lot of new insights. Did you come out with any skating abilities or hockey abilities?
No. Um, but I did get a pair of skates from Bauer for free recently, and I felt really cool
Oh
about
yeah.
that. So I plan to learn. I want to do learn to skate and learn to play. I do plan on that. Did y'all ever see my video I posted a while ago where it was me skating and then like obviously it was my boyfriend that came in and like ripped a shot and like stitched it in. Have you seen that?
I
It was an
saw
older
it.
video. Yeah. So my goal is to get that good. So we'll see how that goes. I want to be able to stop and like skate backwards first and then yeah, we'll get into ripping shots. But no, I'm not great at it yet. Well, there'll definitely be some content though. Y'all see some content on Instagram for sure of me learning how to play.
Love that. Looking
Mm.
forward to it.
I've I've been like ice skating once, and I remember I was like holding on to. I don't know anything about hockey. I don't know what the things are called. Like the other day, I called a periods quarters. Anyways, I was holding on to like the railing as I was going, and then I fell on the ground, like straight on my butt. Like nothing else was
Re-
supporting me. And then I remember I just started crying, and I crawled my way out of the ring.
Wait,
It was
this
like
was
the worst
recently?
experience. Nah, this was like maybe when I was in fifth grade, but it still has scarred
Okay.
me for my whole life. For like, I never ever want to try it again.
I
I
got
don't know.
I got messed up so bad. I fell like a few years ago. I fell and I fell with my arm like horizontally abducted across my chest. All the weight went right here. I thought I like
Ooh.
dislocated my arm. Like I couldn't move it at first. I was like, oh shit. And I was really messed up for like 6 months. And I was just by myself. Like no one was around me. It was like a small game going on, and I was just off to the side. Like just imagine this dynamic. And I'm just like trying to stop and I can't. um, yes. So goal is to maybe get some pads first and then play for sure.
A little bit unrelated of a question. I left Seattle pretty like much right after they got a team. Have you seen
Hmm.
any like the city change at all in response to the Kraken coming? Is there a lot of hype there? Just any experience with that?
Yeah, it's really fun to see the sport grow for sure. Like I'll get really excited when I see people wearing Kraken hats and shirts. I'm like, oh, I like your hat, you know? But there's definitely like there's kids hockey now out here. So I think previously it wasn't really much of a hockey state. But they've got youth hockey, they've got obviously the Kraken, they've got the PWHL that's out here now, which is really cool, Professional Women's Hockey League, which is expanding out to the West Coast, which is really awesome. So that's starting this year. So I'm really excited there's gonna be a lot of hockey this year for sure. Lots of games. Um, so yeah, it's definitely expanded and it's fun to like share those experiences with my friends and if you ever come back, you definitely have to come to a game. It's like unlike anything else. It's just I think it's one of the most cool sports because they still let fighting happen. Like that's part of it. So like the guys just fight to get the energy going. I'm like, man, that's so tough.
It's not part
And
of the
honest,
strength and conditioning program, is it? Teaching them how to fight.
no.
That'd be awesome.
I think some guys like truly have a fighting background and I don't know. It would help for sure. Um, but like working with them, I think one of the biggest things I learned from them is to just to put it like not I don't know, just not to be a little bitch. Like I if I ever felt sorry for myself for not feeling good, I'm like or like my body didn't feel perfect, I'm like, man, these guys probably feel terrible and they are performing all the time. So I'm like, I know I'm not gonna feel 100% all the time, especially as I age. I just need to continue to do shit, be smart, but like don't be a little bitch.
I love that.
Yeah, we could all learn from that.
I've got another just like unorthodox question. What's your coaching pet peeve?
Ooh, okay. Um, coaching pet peeve. I think when I see coaches not paying attention or caring when they're like coaching their clients, does that count as one? Just kind of like
Yes.
slacking and like, yeah, I think I'm very observant because I work out at a gym that I don't work out at, and it's kind of fun. But I'm just observant all the time of wherever I am. And I think that's the biggest one is like just not being like just stand up or something. You know, people are paying you money to be here. But I think the biggest thing is yeah, just be an active coach. Like coach the room, be alert, walk around. Like if you're coaching a group class, like don't just stay stationary. Um, have fun. Like you don't have to be serious. That's another thing. I definitely am not serious all the time. And I thought I had to change that about myself, but you don't. Like you said, like make it a fun environment. I think, yeah, I think that's it. That's a good
You always
question.
have like your own philosophy and like personality to coaching. I feel like people think there's these rules about what you can and cannot do. And it's like obviously
Yeah,
you need to learn from other people and you need to like have a baseline of like principles, but at the end of the day, like it's whatever you want to make it to be, and people are going to come learn from you or want to be coached by you because of the way you coach.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Just be yourself. Like if you're a bubbly person, be bubbly. Like don't
Hmm.
try to not be who you are. You're not going to come across well. I
Right.
thought I had to be serious for so long and it was not it. So, yeah, that's very well said.
All right, we'll wrap this up then, right around an hour here with our final question. This is our brand new segment. It's the
Oh
AAA
God.
What's Powering You? Um, just anything that's you've used recently to kind of fuel you, keep you going, keep your routine up, whether it's like a new artist that you've discovered, maybe a new food that you've been enjoying eating before you lift, or a new training program. What's been fueling you, keeping you going, keeping your training kind of up and running?
Oh, I'm a big music person. I don't know if y'all know this. You probably seen on my page. I love metal. So it doesn't matter what time of day it is. I am putting that shit on. Um, Specific artists, I'm kind of all over the place right now, but anything that has like a good guitar drum with like some melody, like melodic, and then like some scream, that fuels me for sure. 1000%.
There's
I'm a
nothing better
metal
than like
girly.
metal on like a really good speaker.
Ah, or in your headphones with a noise canceling on, and no one else knows, like maybe a hood on. I love to not be perceived sometimes. So I think that's another thing. Like just having, it's like have your hat on, have your hoodie, metal. That definitely is a vibe that fuels me for sure.
I'm not quite on the
I'll
metal wave
definitely,
yet, but
you know,
I gotta get there. I gotta get there. That's like
I
there's a
mean, I'll
staple of
even,
a strength coach. You gotta love metal.
yeah, I'll even program like that sometimes. I'll be sitting here.
Music while you're programming
Yeah,
is so underrated. You gotta get in you gotta
uh-huh.
get in the zone and get pumped up for it, or else it's so monotonous.
You need that headspace. But yeah, these are great questions, y'all. Thank you.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. This was like a super enjoyable conversation, a really fun episode. Really, really pumped about this one.
Yeah, thank you guys for both having me. This is like I said, I love talking to other coaches, just vibing. This is great vibes today, I would say. It definitely passed. And it was just good to see you again, Anthony, and to meet you, Rowan. I really appreciate y'all. And yeah, we'll chat soon, I'm sure.
Sounds great.
All
It
right,
was great
thank
to
you
meet
very
you.
much.
Yeah, thank you.